Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, welcome, kids. We've got it's New Ship Monday. It's Monday. Welcome. We got a new ship on the bench. This is a ship that I had been waiting for quite a while. This is the California class. I was going to call it the Cerritos, but there are people around too who have made it possible so you don't have to make the Cerritos. You can make any one of three ships based on the color of the decals. I'm going to be, of course, making painting masks. So if you want to paint your stripes a different color, you can make your ship basically any colors that you want to make it. They do give you the registries for 3 different ships. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But this ship has been carefully engineered and made for lighting. And the lighting is a double-edged sword in this kit. Now, to me, all swords are double-edged. If it's only got a single edge, it's a knife. A sword is double-edged, but this is a double-edged sword. They've made this possible to light using the white translucent plastic, which means you can paint this and scrape. After you're done, you scrape the paint off and your window shines through. But it also makes light blocking just that much more difficult because it is a more translucent plastic. So if the areas that you don't want to light, you've got to work extra hard to make sure that no light leaks through there. I didn't want to, I was going to do an unboxing video, but I got this over the weekend and I was just so happy for it that I could not wait. I just started diving into the parts. So I will show you what we've got. Now we've got 2 parts that comprise the saucer. They're calling this 1400 scale, which puts it in line with their Enterprise D Galaxy class model. I think, the ship is a little big for that. I'm not privy to the people who make the series, but I always thought it would be nicer if it was like a scrappy little underdog ship that was, a lot smaller than a Galaxy class. But what do I know? But it is designed for lighting, and by that I mean they've even put little standoffs here for you to put your bulbs up against so that you can shine lights through this. Now, where that comes into a problem is where you don't want light to shine. You're going to have to do a lot of light blocking where you don't want your lights to come out through. And it's going to be particularly problematic lighting the rim windows because not only are you fighting through a couple different layers of plastic to get out there, but the windows along the rim are not molded in and they are so blinking tiny that you will have a hard time. There are windows like in this recess that it would be very tough to get in there and scrape the paint. That might have been nice if that had been an insert. I'm starting to go through these parts and thinking where it could have been maybe engineered a little differently. I'm not going to say better, but differently. If that had been an insert that you joined up, of course you might have had a horrible seam line there trying to sand that. But since there should be windows in here, it does make it a little bit more difficult to figure that out. Anyway, that's one thing. Second thing is the nacelles. Now the nacelles are nothing but a light show. And if you thought that inside and outboard grills on the on the refit or the NX-01 were fun, wait till you get a hold of this. It's light shining out of all 4 sides. So that's going to make it interesting because how are you going to hide your lighting if you are shining it out of all 4 sides, basically? There are plastic inserts here, and there are side inserts, and then there's a bottom insert. I mean, you got light. This is basically a big blue light pole. And by the time you get all of these joined in and put a strip of LEDs down there, it's going to be fun to disguise that so that when the ship is turned off, you don't see the strip of LED lights. So we may be doing our old friend fiber fill to help disguise the LEDs. Might even try some cob lighting in there. One thing I did notice, I'll go ahead and tell you, you can file this away for future reference because I know the kit isn't quite out yet. At least it's not as of the recording of this video. When the model comes on the tree, when you see the sprue like this, that's how it's sitting. Now, there are bits right in here that are reinforcing this centerpiece. Those have to come out. There's no place in the instructions where it says specifically to do that. At least not that I found. I have read these instructions. I don't see it where they first mention it. They talk about the decals. They talk about how to put them on, blah, blah, blah. Here's where they first mention the nacelles, but they don't make any mention of cutting out those supports. And that's okay. The support is put back in when you put the clear piece in. See, these are the clear inserts that go on either side of the inside. But it should look like this when you're done. It should not have any supports in here all the way to the back. Now that does make this very fragile. So you want to be extra careful when you're dealing with that. But let me see, make sure I've got the right piece here. When you put this piece in, it's got reinforcements so that you will strengthen that joint back up. And look at it from the outside here. You'll see it from this side. But that should be an unbroken line there. That should be glued right into the center of that clear piece. Now I'm going to be that also gives you an issue here. What happens with this when you've got such bright blue light shining out through it? You need to really light block the inside of that part, or subsequently, or conversely, whichever verb is more correct. You could put a light block just inside of here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of vinyl right in there. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep me from having to put too much paint on the inside of that part. But it's going to light block it the way we need to have it light blocked. So that when you sit this in place, it's going to take care of that. So these are just my impressions, pulling the parts out of the box, cleaning them up, getting them ready to go. We have another problem or another issue to solve with the front cone, then the Bassard collector. That's a whole big bunch of red light there. So we're going to have to light block the heck out of the inside, put some heavy coats. Now this is a darker, almost a German gray in this area, so hopefully that'll take care of some of that. Light blocking is going to be an issue on this build. I will go ahead and tell you that disguising the light strip and light blocking is going to be the tough part. We've got another issue coming up here. This is the front of the engineering housing that goes between the nacelles. It's got a deflector dish that floats right in here. It's got a nice little standoff for a bulb to go behind it. But we're going to have to block areas here. We've done this before, but we're going to have to block areas we don't want light to come out of. And so, your typical issues that you have building starships. So you want your windows to be lit, you want your nacelles to be lit, but you want your hulls to be impenetrable. So, where do we start? Well, we start by figuring out how our lighting is going to be accomplished. Are we going to use single bulbs? Are we going to use light strips? Now, this saucer, when it goes together, is very, very thin. And by thin, I mean it doesn't have a lot of height here. So there's not a lot of room for a bulb to go in there. And if you put a bulb in there, you're guaranteeing yourself a hot spot right above that bulb. And right above and below it. So we're thinking maybe more light LED tape shining up and shining down like we did on our Enterprise, on our big Helios Enterprise. So I'm thinking about that and what we're going to require. How much light blocking is this going to need? Of course, the painting of this is going to be an issue because you can either paint it to look like the cartoon, sorry, the animated series. We could paint it to look realistic. We could paint it like a hybrid in the middle. All wide open ideas. So I'm thinking of what things I'm going to want to mask, what things am I going to want to use decals for. I am going to want, I can tell you now, I'm going to want to paint as much as possible. I'm going to want to paint that stripe. There's a yellow stripe that goes here and on the bottom. This is blue. I believe that's their phaser strip, but it's blue on the decal sheet. We might go a different color with that, and that's the fun part of painting. You can choose your own colors for things. Similarly, there's another phaser strip down here, and then this is simply where the nacelles attach. So yeah, it's going to be another fun project. This might take me into the new year to do properly. So come along and join the fun on the lower decks. Well, here you go. This is the word. This came from Mike McMahon, the creator of the series, who says that it is 535.2 meters long, and that's how it relates to the size of the D. So the model is pretty accurate at 1400 scale. Here is the 1400 scale D model kit and the Cerritos 1400. So yeah, it's a bigger ship than I thought. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, day 2 on the Cerritos build, and I'm starting on the lighting, and I figured I would start on something small, something simple. Just to get the mojo working on the larger problems that the engines are going to be posing. But we're starting with this one, and we're just lighting up the deflector, and that's a tiny little wee SMLED chip size in there. But the weird thing you have to do is you have to block the light on the inner ring of the deflector and on this outer ring, and let the blue shine around the edge and then in that line there. So I'll go ahead and pop this out so you can see what it is. Basically what I'm going to ask the modeler to do is to mask the back of this piece of plastic with black vinyl. See, that's what it looks like. It's just a bulb in there. Mask the back of it with black vinyl and then paint the inside of that. Now I believe it's a copper color like every other deflector is, just in the area of not the ridges around the edge, just where you see the black vinyl. That's what needs to be painted. The paint alone, not the paint alone, the paint alone is not going to block it sufficiently. So if you paint the front of it with a nice copper and then put a mask on the back of it, that's going to allow you to get your light shining just where you want it to, and you won't see that black in the final product. We've got a blue light coming out of the front. We've got a white light that shines like a window out through the back here, and I've already got a piece of vinyl masking that window on the outside, and I did it also from the inside. Let me go ahead and pull these pieces apart so you can see what I'm talking about. There is a piece of vinyl. When I light block the inside, there's a piece of vinyl stuck to it just like on the inside there, so I'll pull that off and that will allow the light to shine out through. I'm just not sure I've got I think I want to put another coat of light blocking gray on this, just to minimize the amount of light bleed we're going to have. Okay, this next set of masks that'll also be done in black are meant to help out with the masking of the side pieces, so that you don't have ugly light spill where you don't want it on the sides of the nacelles. You can see it's very clean here. But what I've done is I've put, as soon as I get this piece off of here, okay, there we go. There's a strip of black that goes down the center of the clear part. And this will be, it's easier to put it on here than it is to try to put it on the inside of this. So if you put it on the clear part, and then you put the clear part in place, it will, it basically is hidden by this, but that keeps the light. You don't have to glop on a bunch of light blocking here to keep the light shining around it and not through it. So we've got one on the outside, and then there's one on the inside. Now the inside ones are going to have these additional holes for the engineering pod that goes like this. And the easiest way to handle that is just to put them on like they were before. You just lay this whole strip down, and then you just take an X-Acto and you cut out where these pockets are. It's easier to put those on that way. You don't have to worry about being so fiddly precise as you do if I had plotted those holes that are already in there. So this will end up fitting over it like that. And then, well, actually it'll end up going into the nacelle like that. And then this fits over top of it like that. So everything is protected that way. And then this piece will get glued in. I'm thinking if we do this one correctly, we won't need to mask all of these guys on the front of the nacelle, because I'm going to suggest that you paint this with your darkest German gray. Just paint it all around before you even pop it on there. And that way the masking won't have to be done on this piece. It's going to require you to do things in a certain order, but I think that's going to pay off better in the long run. Okay, this is just a quick little nonsense picture. I just wanted to show I knocked everything together just to show you what the Cerritos looks like, give you an idea of the scale for anybody who didn't see the mock-up at Wonderfest. It's about yay long. Let me get my measuring stick out and tell you how much that yay is. That yay is about, let's see, it's about 15 inches long. It's a nice size, nice shelf size model. Unfortunately, and this is a limitation of the scale, we're not going to be able to get these edge windows done. I think I've mentioned that before. Lighting the saucer itself, there's a light out here in the front where the bridge is. It's almost not worth trying to put anything in there, because yeah, you'll get maybe some of the up windows lit, but anything around the perimeters you're not going to see. So it might be a case of taking, a toothpick and some very fine white paint and just painting the windows around the edge. We are going to be able to light the impulse deck, the two red engines. Now they give you one long clear piece, but it is broken up into two segments, so we're going to have to use some of that black masking again on the clear piece to delineate the two different sections of impulse engines. And if we lay flat lights here, you've got a big light leak issue, so we're going to have to do some heavy-duty light block painting around where these windows go. We could put some of the silver tape down around the rest of it, but because the saucer itself is so thin, there's just no room for the light to go except for up through the hull. So it's definitely going to be a balancing act as to what's appropriate, what's going to be worth it, and what isn't. Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Wednesday, and we're moving slowly but surely. And don't call me Shirley. Slowly but surely on the Cali class, the Cerritos in particular. Two prominent colors on this ship, sky gray and German gray. Now this is if you are doing what I am doing for the first build. I know I'll be building this many times. I'll be building this kit a few times. But what I'm doing primarily is the animated look, which is all very flat color. Now I know, because I am a big fan of the series, that they at several times went into the more realistic look, particularly when they did their homage to the motion picture, where they spent a good amount of time just sitting in a dry dock and just going, you know, the vanity tour of the command staff as they went around in the travel pod to look at the newly reconstructed Cerritos, and they just lingered on every little bit of it like it was the refit in the motion picture. One of my favorite bits in the series. But and then they went into more elaborate Aztecing on the actual hull. And I know that Round 2 has made wallpaper decals. I've not seen them yet. They have not been released as of the filming of this video. And I'll probably build one with those decals just to see how it looks. Like I said, I'll be building many versions of this. But the one I'm going to do first is going to be the flat colors of the animated version. And to do that, I want to paint in. And this is before I've installed any lighting, and it's before I've done a lot of the construction. I want to go ahead and paint in some of the German gray, and then we're going to cover that up. We're going to cover up the German gray and then paint the sky gray on top of it. We have got, I'll just use the top for an example. We've got this A-frame piece. This all has to be German gray. All of the lifeboats need to be German gray. These little indents here need to be German gray. The phaser strip is actually a blue color. We're going to paint that in as a blue color, and then we're going to mask that off. And we're going to paint the sky gray over top of that. And this piece here is actually a darker, it's almost a black. I'm going to probably use like a NATO black on that. I'm not going to go with a German gray on that. We're going to have something that, or I'm not going to go with a traditional black on that. And because this is the animated version, what they want to say is gunmetal is not going to be gunmetal. I'm going to make it I'll probably make it the same German gray, and that's these little pontoony things. Because in animation, particularly in 2D cell animation, it's very difficult to paint something with a metallic color. So what you normally would get would be, if you're trying to indicate silver, it would be gray with like a white highlight in it or something. That's how they would indicate a metallic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pieces, this piece and this piece and the nacelles and the pontoon, basically everything that's going to get the German gray on it. I'm going to go ahead and paint that German gray in now, and then we're going to start going about the tedious work of masking all of that. Okay, now that the paint has started to dry on some of this German gray, I'm turning my attention to the engineering pod, the pontoon that goes between the two warp nacelles. There's a deflector dish there that needs to have some light blocked in. It needs to have some fairly fine light blocking. There's a thin, skinny line there where the orange is not there, where you're seeing the blue light shine out from behind it. And I'm toying with two separate ideas, and I think you can do either one. There's the light shining behind it. I'm thinking that you could put the vinyl on the outside. You only have to worry about it, getting other paint on it, or you have to worry about you know, getting it centered right off the bat the first time. Or you could put it in kind of close and then trim it. Or you can put the vinyl on the inside. I'm just taking this vinyl off. I think it makes more sense to put the vinyl on the inside to act as the light block. I'm providing it in orange, so in case you only want to use that, you can. Or you can block the inside like I'm going to do and then paint. Sorry, get that in focus. I'm going to block the inside and then I'm going to paint on the outside of it just so that there's a painted surface there. But because it's taken care of in vinyl, you don't have to be maybe that exact with your painting. We're going to try it on the inside and see how well it goes. Okay, and here is the vinyl when it's stuck to the back. Not only is it easier to do this, it's easier to work with it when you're sticking it to the back. If you burnish it down very, very tightly, because you don't want this to ever come up, you see the orange through the front, so it's up to you to decide whether you need to paint that or whether that's good enough as it is. Now this is going to get just because of the nature of the beast, this is going to get a flat coat when I am doing my final flat coat, and that's going to frost it up a bit, which is fine. It doesn't really need to be as clear as it is. It can be a little bit hazy, so it's going to go in like that, and then we're going to put the lights behind it. So I think what I need to do now is figure out my position and my number of lights. I'm wondering if I can get away with 2 blue chip lights, one kind of shining out that way and one shining out that way. I found that by using one, because I have some 5mm blue lights. If I put a single 5mm in there, it was too pinpointy, and I think that may be the nature of these particular LEDs, that they're not a very wide beam on them. If I put that in and I put this in front of it, it's very hot in the center and it doesn't really give me anything out to the sides. So I think that what I would like to do is take 2 of the small chips, and then there's one white light that's going to shine back through here through the plastic to this light, this window that's back here, and I'm going to put that like right up against. I've got this masked off for right now. When I painted the light blocking inside, I can take that mask off. I can grab the white LED, or the white surface mount chip LED that I've got here, and if I put that right up against the hull, we can see where it's going to shine out. Now I need to remove the mask I have on the outside as well. So if I take that mask off, now you can see, well, if I get the light back up, you can see. Okay, there's the white light. Put it up against here. Then it's going to shine out the back. That's very nice. Just like that. Okay, great. So let's put our bulbs in here, pack some fiberfill around it, and then get ready to close this much up. I could close this up and then drop this in from the front. I don't have to wedge it in there before I get the glue out. So let's start putting some bulbs in this thing. Oh, I always like this part of the build. That's when we start seeing some color, start seeing some light. Literally at the end of the tunnel. This is the beginning of the tunnel, but we've got, these are the 3 lights that are going to be in my outrigger here. We've got, of course, 2 shining out through the deflector, and then the one that's going to be here in the back. So I think what I want to do is ball this wiring up and take just 2 strands out just to keep the wiring simple. I've got the room here. I can go ahead and coil this stuff up. I don't like cutting the length off of these SMDs because it's very fine fiddly soldering, and the resistors are all the way out here at the end instead of up here by the bulb. So what I think I should do is coil that up, and then I'll use some of these spools of wiring that I bought for the Enterprise D, that I can join that all up and then trail that out to go to the rest of the ship. Morning, everybody. It's Thursday. It is the gateway to the weekend. It is also the day of Wayne's Christmas quiz today, so I hope you all participated in that and enjoyed it mightily. It's also the last day, the airing of the last episode of Lower Decks, and I saw it this morning, and I was very, very heartened to see it, but sad to see it go. It's I think been a bright spot in Trek offerings of late, and it's only fitting that we are working on the Cerritos. They showed us, hopefully it won't be a spoiler, you will have seen it by the time this video goes out. They showed us variations on the Cerritos, and some of them were fun and some of them were just downright silly. But where we're at today is I was suffering from mission creep, as is normal when I'm doing a model. I've got everything out, I've got all the parts out, and I'm working on everything everywhere all at once to carry on the multiversal theme. And it was getting to be too much. You saw my desk yesterday, you saw the table yesterday, you saw how messy it was. So I've decided to split this up, and I'm going to make this a 2-week project. This being Thursday, I should be able to get what I want to get done today and tomorrow. Basically, I want to get the nacelles and the engineering pod done. I want to get that done as a standalone thing. And then next week we can concentrate on the saucer and putting it all together. What I've done so far on these is I have put all of the clear inserts in. And by all of them, I do mean every one of them. There's a clear insert on the top. There's a clear insert on the bottom. There are clear inserts on both sides, the back and the front. There are clear inserts on here and here. There are 3 up front. And when you put it all together, that means there's a lot of places for light to come out, but it also means you're not going to be able to hide your lighting. You're going to see the light strip, or you're going to see the cob lighting or the bulbs or whatever it is you've chosen to use. So we're going to have to maybe pack some fiberfill in there to cover them up a bit. There is, of course, red lights up front. There is blue lights down the length of it. It's kind of split. I believe there is a light back here at the top of the nacelle. There's just, I'm sorry to say, no room to get to it. And that's that is the nature of the scale of this kit. We're not going to be able to put all the lights in it that we want because of, where we're able to access. There is a this is the inboard. You can tell it's the inboard because it's got the slots in it. So let me show you the outboard. This is the outboard, and there is a red and green formation light right up here. This one would be the red one because it's the port side nacelle. But there is a starboard one that's got room for a green, and I think I'm going to try to get those in there because I think there's room for those. I have one more set of masks I need to make, and that is for this shape here, so that we can, I thought I was going to be able to get all of my painting done before we attach this part. That's not practical, so we're going to have to mask it. I had to put all of the clear parts in yesterday, and that meant leaving this area to be masked, but it's just some straight strip with a chunk at the front there, and we'll cut an angle on the back. So we're going to make those masks this morning, get those ready to go. But before we do that and close everything up, I need to figure out exactly how my blue lighting is going to go in. I've more or less figured the red lighting, because we have, and let me show you on this one, we have the Bassard collector that goes out to the front of that with a whole dead space there. We can plug this thing in at the end. But what that means is we're going to have a bulb that's sticking out something like this. The big red bulb is going to stick out like that, and then we're going to plug this over top of it, and that's going to light up the front of the Bassard collector. But there's this whole area in here that needs to be lit up as well. So we're going to use a smaller 3 mil red LED back in this area to light this up. And I don't know whether we're going to aim it backwards this way or whether we're just going to aim it forwards and have it back here. Not quite sure on that yet, but it's going to be a little module that we can plug in there and then run the wiring out. Then we're going to have the blue going down the length. And I'm thinking I'm going to start with, until I've been convinced otherwise, I'm going to start with a strip of blue LED tape. And it's going to go this way, wrap around the back, and then come. So it's going to make a big U shape. We're going to see if that gives us enough light. Now it means these bulbs are going to be right up against that plastic. They're going to be right up against there. So we're going to have to do something. I mean, it's going to be hotspot city because there's just not enough space in this nacelle to have anything far enough away. Let me see about that now. If I took 2 strips and I back-to-back them like this, and I stuck them down the center. See, the problem with sticking them down the center is we've got these places where the engineering pod goes. Well, to show you it backwards, let me see, I grabbed the wrong one. To show you this way, it would go like that. Yeah, that's the outside edge. So it would go, it would start like this. That's wrong. Grab the right one, Lou. Okay, it starts like this. And then the outside one goes on it like that. So that's how it's built up. And like I said, you can see straight through there. So we're going to have to do something. Once we spray a clear coat of flat over everything, it's going to cloud that over a bit, but you're still going to end up seeing your lighting. I don't know of any other way around it. If I do something like this and don't bring it all the way up to the edge, I'm wondering if that's going to be enough. We still have to go on either side of where the pontoon comes through. So it's going to have to do something like that to even work at all. Got to ponder on that for a bit. Okay, I think I've made enough progress that it's worthy of cluing you all in on what I'm doing here. Basically, I've had to do some surgery on the standoffs that are inside the nacelles. They are the clear parts that have the pre-designed little LED standoffs here. Basically, I've taken those out. In order to make room for strip lighting, I had to kind of remove those, and I've put blocks in here, just sideways blocks going in, and they are the same same thickness as this bit here. And what that's going to allow me to do is to take a strip of LEDs. Now I've backed this on a piece of strip stock, 1/4 inch strip stock, doubled it up to make it rigid, because that's the only thickness I have here. And basically what we're going to do is sit this on top. What that does is it keeps it back a little bit from the top. It doesn't smash it up against the window. Gives me some room for fiberfill or something. Gives me some room in there. And then another strip along the bottom goes like that. And that's going to give me top and bottom lighting. Until I get these powered up, I'm not going to know exactly what it's going to do for me as far as my side-to-side lighting. We're going to see how that goes, but it's going to be basically something like that. Strip along the top, strip along the bottom. I'm going to have to put some sort of individual bulb shining out the back. I'm going to have to see how much light it's going to shine out the back, because that's a big blue light as well. But once we get these wired up and glued into place, I a better clue as to how much light it's going to provide. It's going to be something like, I'm trying to grab all this together, something like that. And then from the top, well, I need to split the difference so that this is going down the center of the top. It's centered in the nacelle, like that. So, I think we're to the wiring point of this exercise. Put some wire to it, some light on it, and see how well it sticks. Okay, I have to say, I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful about this. This is the result after I've closed everything up. Now I can see a whole bunch. I can see straight into that strip of bulbs. So we're going to have to do something, whether it's fiber fill or a piece of distortion or just frosting up that plastic, something to hide that. But I was concerned we weren't seeing enough light out of the sides. I think those are fine. That's the light out of the bottom. I think we're getting a good amount of light out of the sides. I've got to do something to add a bulb to the back because we're not getting enough direct light coming out of the back. Adding a single SMLED there, I think, would help. We've got to dam up the. We got to put a block right there so that none of the blue light comes forward of the Bussard collector. And then we're ready to mask this off and paint it. Ooh, things are going well. Now all I got to do is remember how I did this so that I could carry it over to the second nacelle. Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. It's the last work day of the week, the last work day on week 1 of the California class. Because if you want to build the Cerritos, you certainly can, but you're going to be able to build variations of this if you would like, different ships. I have a goal. I have an ambition. No, I have a sacred duty to finish the nacelles and the engineering pod today. I want to get them wired. I got them mostly wired now. I want to get them completely wired and put together and painted and masked and painted and ready to attach to the saucer. And the saucer will be the focus of next week. But we're pretty close. All I need to do this morning is do the lighting modules for the front, the Bussard collectors. I have spent the morning finessing these painting templates so that once you've got the clear inserts glued in, you can mask them off to spray your sky gray, or if you're going to put a texture pattern over this, you certainly could. But we need to keep those clean. I'm running into something that I'm not wild about, and I think it's a flaw in the design. Not necessarily the design of the model, the design of the ship. The model does as good as it can, making it work, but it's a weakness, and that is how this. Let me find the best example of it. It's how this back panel fits in, because then you have all of this gap in between it here. And it just, when you put the two halves together, it just doesn't look all that attractive to have that much space left in there. So I think what I'm going to do after all of this is said and done is where's my piece? I cut out a piece just to try it, and I wanted to see, yeah, here it is. It was clear stuff to see. I'm putting just another piece over the end of it to kind of cover that all up. But it's also going to help neaten up the lighting in here. You are expected to throw a light going backwards to light up this back panel. Here it is on this nacelle, and I can show you the difference. You can kind of see in there. This one has not been frosted yet. But what I'm trying to do is introduce a light. Let me get, these wires are driving me nuts. The real thin wires that come on the Evans lighting. See, I'm adding a light just to shine backwards and try to keep it away from that back end so that it'll spread out some. But yeah, we've got the lights. I also went ahead and I put in the side the marker lights here. This one would be the green bulb. and it's going to involve needing some more light blocking because of the thin plastic behind it. But I've got those in both nacelles, and of course the other one's red. But where I'm at now is I need to come up with a design for the red Bussard collectors, and I think we're going to do something like this where we have a 5mm red sticking out in front, and then we're going to have a 3mm red behind it, and then these will get laid into, well, I had it pointing the wrong direction to show you what was going on. It's going to be something like this, so that the smaller one lights up the holes that are here, and then the longer one sticks out, and that's what goes into the end cap that fits here. This will go something like that. So we'll pull that bulb back to about there, and then put the other bulb something like that, and then I'll play with those lengths, and then we'll get a mock-up, and I'll show you how that's going to look, and then we're going to slam all this together. Okay, so I think I've got the Bussard collector light circuit figured out. We basically have two bulbs, bigger one in the front, smaller one in the back. I'm kind of curious to see how much light that second bulb is actually going to throw. I've got the what I'm calling the baffle plate. This is what keeps the red light from going back and the blue light from coming forward. I'll seal that hole off with some, probably some tulip or something. I'll only be able to get the front, the one side of it done. So light blocking on that is going to be tough. It always is when you're putting two halves of a nacelle together, because you kind of put everything in one half like this, and then you cover the other half over it, but you can't always make the glue joints what you want them to be. But if we pull this up, we do a little tuck of the wiring here, and then we pull it up the pylon here, make it go like that, and then put a battery on it. We get, again, this is the back blue light, and it's the front two Bussard collector lights. I'm not wild about how much we're seeing coming out of these. That bulb is just not all that bright. I'm wondering if we could substitute that with something else, because before I close that up, I really want to be happy with that light spill, and that ain't happening at this point. The front bulb I'm okay with. It's that second bulb, and you know what it is? A lot of it is the pins and pocket locators here that are going to end up covering up a lot of the clear window. Again, that's in the design. That's not really anything the model maker has any control over. That's just how sometimes you just have to do it that way. I don't have enough big 5mm red bulbs that I can put a 5mm in there. I'm wondering if I put an inch of red LED tape in there, whether that's going to have enough punch. It looked good on paper, it looked good in application, the result of it is not what I was hoping. Okay, this is going to be one of those things that's either the best idea or the worst idea. And I think what I need to do is I need to remove all of these pins and pockets. Remove all of those and rely simply on the edges to do my gluing surface. I think as much as we want those to hold the front of it together, they are obstructing the lighting that we want to put in there. So we're going to try it. I'm going to, like I said, this won't be the first. This is the first, but it won't be the last Cerritos I build. So if it doesn't work, then we won't do it again. But we're certainly going to try, because that guy right there is what's blocking all of the light. Good news. I got good news and bad news. The good news is I've solved it. I solved the problem. The bad news is it's going to involve more soldering and more wiring. Just when you thought we had all the room in the world, we don't. And I had to basically clear out everything in here that was not holding those little windows in place. And I've done that on both of the nacelles. And got out somewhere. The secret's going to be taking 2 inches of red strip tape, basically putting an inch on either side of the cleared out area, and we're going to be shining and bouncing off of both windows, and then we're going to have one solid 5 mil going up through the middle of it. That's going to hold everything in place from the front. So let's get these inches of red tape soldered up, and we're going to have to CA them in place because my red tape is very old and the glue on the back is not sticking anymore. I also need to take this one apart since we're not going to be using it the way that it was. Well, I just had some unexpected good news, and I'll take it. It seems that when I put those 2 LED strips in the inside there, and I lit everything up, not only do we have nice shining red lights on the 3 of these, don't mind the seam, I can take care of that, but it is also sufficient for the cap. I don't have to put that center bulb coming through. So I've saved myself some soldering there. All I need to do is to rough up the sand, frost that bit of clear, and I can pop that on the end, and we're in wonderful shape. So yay, that's a yay and a happy. I'll take it. Alrighty, I've got the base and the pontoon and the engines ready to be starting to get ready to paint. Don't worry about this. I just put these together to kind of hold them in place, to hold the pontoons in place, or hold the nacelles in place. I'll go ahead and pop these back out. I just wanted to make sure everything was going to fit and be square and nice and level. So I'll take this out, take all the wiring out of the holes, and take the saucer out of the picture. And got a little bit of sanding to do on this. So I had some putty I had to put down. So a little bit of sanding, a little bit of masking, and then we'll be ready for the repaint. Now, what I want to do is paint the German gray first, and then I can paint the paint German gray first, and then I can paint the sky gray after it. Now that everything has solidified and everything is nice and sturdy. Let's see, where do I want to start? Well, first I want to start with sanding these seams that needed some love. Like you would expect, not everything came together perfectly cleanly, especially since I am kind of rushing the steps here. Not the best way to go through life, but I am trying to prove a point here today. Let me see, I need this. The file, take care of these seams in the pylons. The thing about having pylons with holes in them, you got to sand the inside and the outside. Sometimes not easy to get to. Yeah, that looks all good. Well, you don't need to sit here and watch me sand stuff. I'll let you know when I'm getting ready to start putting some paint down. Righty, I am masked and ready to paint the German gray on the nacelles and the engineering section here. I've got masks over the clear parts, everything that I want to protect, and then we can get out the German gray and go to town here. Here we have our German gray. I've done my sanding. We're going to see how all of this shakes out. I may want to do a little more sanding on the inside right there. I just saw a burr. Okay, do some paint, come right back. Look at those lights there. And then of course we have a mask over that back window, but there's a light there. It's going to be tough to show you the rest of these because they all have masks on them of one form or another still. There is, well obviously there's the front of that. I can still see a few light leaks here that I need to touch up. And then there's the blue on that. Let's see, this would be what? This would be what is this? This is, oh, that's the blue tail light on that nacelle. Let's flip these around here. Let's see, these are the blue lights for this nacelle. Again, everything still has a mask on it, that's why it's tough to see. And then this would be the, yeah, that's the red right here. Okay, lovely. I've got a few more moments before I have to stop for the week, so I'm going to touch that area where I saw the light leak with a little bit more of the German gray. And actually, no, that's going to be painted over with the light sky gray, so I can put a touch of the black, and this is the Mission Models black that makes such a lovely light block without being too thick. Now, it's not like Tulip, which really blocks light, but unfortunately is dimensional and will puff up and stick up around your paint. Let's see if we got to take care of that. Oops. Yeah, it's mostly gone now. Okay, we'll give this a little bit more time and see if there is going to be any benefit. I tell you what I can do. Since these are covered with a larger mask, I can go ahead and take that off and show you what it looks like. See how nice that red light comes out there? Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now I am running a little bit later than normal, but I'm this close. Taping this off took longer than I thought it was going to, but I am this close. So I have got this taped off. I am ready to spray the sky gray over top of it, and we'll see how she turns out. It may mean the video might go up a little late tonight. I don't know. It's all going to see how it shakes out in the wash. But let's get the light gray on here and then take the mask off and see how it looks two-toned. Okay, so I've sprayed on the sky gray. We're going to give this a few minutes, not as long as it deserves, but a few minutes to dry, as long as it takes me to clean up everything else. And then I'm going to come back and strip off the masks that I can so that I can show you some results tonight before we close up for the week. So talk amongst yourselves here for a second while I do some cleaning and tossing of Q-tips and things like that. We're just going to start peeling them off, and it looks like that. This is, again, like I said, too early. I should be leaving this for a good at least 2 hours before I take this tape off, but I am in a hurry. I might end up having to repaint this over the weekend, but like I said, I want to show you some results. some of this stuff where I might poke at it with the X-Acto, I can go back in and just touch it up with the brush, but that's how she's looking. Let's go ahead and get the rest of these off. Let me close up the camera, it makes me nervous. Okay, it's a race to the finish here. I did not get the yellow markings put on, but if you can take this to the bank, that's a result. That's a result on that nacelle. Very happy with that. Now, when it comes time to build the next one, I want to make sure that I have done a well and thorough version of sanding down the clear parts and making sure that these ones are wired differently, so you're only going to see the blue part there. Make sure that they are frosted a lot better than they are here. So let's do these ones. Yeah, there's the front of this nacelle. Very nice. And we've got one more, and that is, I'm not gluing this part in yet quite yet, but that is the engineering pod. Very, very nice. And of course we've got a window that is still masked here, shining out the back. And that is our result for this week so far. Let me see if I can, this is the one that's got most everything put together on this one, wired on this one nacelle, so you can see the front and the side there. Now it has opened up a crack here that I am not wild about. Might have to re-glue that and sand it and putty it a little bit, but that's without the cap on it, and with the cap on it. There we go. So let me put the light to it one more time. There's your nacelle with your green nav light. Yes, you are seeing the bulbs. You will see the bulbs no matter how much you sand them. Again, another improvement for the next round would be to put a strip of cob lighting in there. You still see the bulbs, but they're much smaller but closer together. And that, my friends, is going to be it for week 1 on the California class / Cerritos build from the wonderful series Lower Decks, which just sadly wrapped up this week. Got a good chunk of it done. I got to tell you, splitting it in half like that was smart because it allowed me to concentrate on doing half of it and leaving the other half for next week. And we did get a lot done. We've got a lot of the lighting, and of course brain work is half the problem. It's once you figure out how to do something, doing it on the other nacelle is a lot easier, but getting to this stage was the challenge. So having met that challenge, we are on to the saucer next week, and any touch-ups and putting the pennants on and the yellow stripes and that kind of stuff on this ship. So we'll finish it up next week. Now, of course, next week is Christmas. That's going to throw a monkey wrench into the timing. A lot of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I'm not going to be working on this, obviously. I'll be spending it with my family. I advise you to do the same if it's possible. So we'll see how it affects the rest of the schedule, but hopefully we'll get it all done next week. There's not a lot of decals that need to go on this. Since we're going to be painting the stripes on, we're not going to have to worry about putting a lot of decals on. So that's kind of where my head is at as far as my time management. But now I'm rambling, so I'll stop. Y'all be good. Be good to each other. Be smart. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. Be sensible out there. And if I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas. If I do, we'll be back here next week. So join us then. And that's it. See you next week.